The Holy Man, Chapter 26. The One. Every time Joe opened the door to a pilgrim, with his eyes full of welcome, a smile on his lips, he was hoping it would be the one he was waiting for. Not the one or two or three who might spend the winter with him, but the one to whom he hoped to pass on his teachings, who would take his place when he died, spreading the word of the inherent holiness of people and nature, the need for kindliness and learning. Many wonderful people had come his way. Many had become monks and part of his community, but none of them was the person he had in his mind. He never doubted he or she would come, but now many years had gone by without the appearance of such a one, and he felt that his days were winding down. He or she had better hurry. He opened the door, and there she stood, a woman in her middle 30s, with short, straight red hair, brown eyes, an air of absolute balance and possession, a look that was at once grave and happy. Joe and Anna fell into each other's arms like long-lost friends, and for a confused minute Joe thought, "No, this isn't the one. It is my dearest daughter returned to me." For when Joe was a young man, both his wife and his daughter were killed in a terrible accident. He had to give them back. "I have been looking all over for you," Anna said. "I have been waiting for you," said Joe. They talked together for an hour. Mostly Joe listened. It emerged she had been dreaming about him for years. The face in the dream was clearly his, now that she saw him, but as there was no picture of Joe anywhere in the world, there was nothing she could match her dream face to. She went to see the different holy men who came to her country, and she read all she could about the ones who existed in remote parts of the world. When she began to hear about him, she felt he was the one, but it was so hard for her to get away. She had a job as a nurse, was married, and had a small child. She began to save her vacation time and her money, but then she had another child and, later, was put in charge of the clinic where she worked. Nevertheless, she continued to make her plans. Finally, the day came when she arranged care for the children, a replacement at work, and could commence her journey, her husband, friends, and colleagues all thinking her quite mad and rather angry with her, to tell the truth. "But now it has taken so long to get to your door that I am overdue home. I was hoping I might stay for a while, but it is impossible. I'm sorry." "I am sorry, too." It was a huge understatement. Joe's heart sank in his chest, seemed to retreat to the far corners of the waters of his body, barely afloat. "But I'm so glad I came. My experience in the line among the pilgrims was unforgettable. And then to meet you at last, spend this hour with you, is like being reunited with an identical twin. I feel so moved by our connection." Joe told her about his work, about the hermitage life. He said he tried to teach people to honor each other, strive toward excellence in one's own life, no matter how insignificant one's work, live fully, fearlessly, dedicated to learning and kindliness, enemies of anger and greed. He said, "You are welcome to stay as long as you can, but I understand your predicament." Joe faltered. He didn't understand. Why had she been given to him at last, only to be snatched away? She gazed deeply at him and asked, "What do you think it meant, my having this ongoing dream of you? Isn't it strange? I know you don't need me in any way, but, well, can I do anything for you before I go? Are you feeling all right? I am a nurse, after all." Joe was overcome. He found that he could not tell her who she was and what she meant to him. "I am feeling fine, Anna. I understand the calls of your family and job. I am not sure what the dreams mean. It is wonderful that you surmounted such difficulties to come all this way. I am profoundly happy to know that you are here in the world." When they parted, they embraced again, and Anna wept. "I have to confess, I don't want to go," she said. "I don't want to leave you. I feel I am making a big mistake, but I am so torn." Again, Joe had it on the tip of his tongue to outright ask her to stay, or else at least to go home and consider a return. Go home and settle her affairs for a final return, so that he might pass down the mantle of his wisdom. But the words balked, refused to leap from his tongue to the air between them. He did not want to seem to beseech her. He felt the decision must be entirely hers. And deep in his heart, he also felt that the work she was doing was perhaps more important than being with him. And so Anna went away. He watched until she was out of sight. the one he'd waited for all these years. He felt a sob rise up in his breast, and he let it come. Let the tears come. And for a few minutes all his wisdom could not help him deal with this mighty disappointment. Then he recovered and remembered his own words, that he was happy she was here in the world. She would find her way without him, even if she didn't get to teach thousands, as he had. Still, every person who passed through her life would be touched by her holiness, and there would be a ripple effect. I could have asked her to stay, Joe thought. Jesus called his apostles away, saying, "Follow me." And that was that. They dropped everything, family, work, everything, and came. Gautama Buddha left his spouse and children. So why couldn't I ask Anna to do the same? Well, I couldn't. I am me, not them. It didn't feel right. It would have been bad action.